Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
It is midday in the Queen City. Business is booming. Metro now expanding soon. And running season never really ends. Let's do lunch.
Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch.
Well, hi there. This is The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you updates on what companies and businesses are doing in Cincinnati. We bring you exclusive interviews with local leaders and CEOs, and we try to squeeze in a bite to eat before you go back to face the afternoon. Thanks for watching. Cincinnati Business Headlines, presented by First State Bank. Built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. First State Bank offers checking, savings, and mortgage services all from your phone. They believe in this community and they believe in you. Visit FSB4me.com. That's First State Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. You know, something that separates the good cities from the great cities is mass transportation. Here locally, we have seen Metro reinvent and expand in recent years, and Metro Now is a key part of that expansion. Metro Now is the on-demand transit service for people who live away from traditional bus lines. Within Hamilton County, you book a ride on the Metro Now app to travel within specific zones for just $2.50 a ride. And now, word is out that they're adding a new Bond Hill Roselawn zone. That now includes areas like Bond Hill and Roselawn, but you can see there also Carthage, Norwood, Wyoming, St. Bernard. It is basically Metro's version of a ride share, like an Uber or a Lyft. Again, $2.50 for a ride within the Metro Now service area that is now even bigger. Metro Now runs weekdays 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., weekends from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. There is a ribbon cutting for this new expanded service today. That new service starts on Sunday. A job change and a programming note to go along with it. That's Carol Butler. She's been the president of UC's Gehring Center for Family and Private Business for the last 8 years. And the Business Courier reporting just this morning that she is retiring at the end of this year. The Gehring Center is the biggest resource of its kind. It's there to educate family and private businesses with leadership development, making connections, and more. It's been around since 1989, and the Gehring Center currently serves hundreds of member companies with an expansion that's been seen under Carol Butler's leadership. The search for her replacement is now on, but mark your calendars. Here's that programming note. Carol is scheduled to be a guest here on The Working Lunch September 8th. Somehow looking forward to that conversation even more now. Other promotion news out today. Don Dierig is now the COO of Sports Service, according to the Enquirer. That is the sports hospitality arm of Delaware North, which handles hospitality for all kinds of different venues. Dierig was GM of Great American Ballpark for a while. He's been VP of Operations for Sports Service for a bit. The announcement says that he will stay here in Cincinnati, but this is a nationwide job with new contract extensions made here locally, also at Progressive Field, Nationwide Arena, and the Little League World Series, among others. Congratulations, Dan. This is a little bit of disappointing news. More fallout from severe weather. A Facebook post has been made by Sacred Heart Church out of Camp Washington, which says because of the severe storms from the last week or so, all the product and prep that's been going into the biannual ravioli dinner in October has been lost. So that annual dinner has been canceled. The church says it is now offering refunds over the next few days. That online Facebook post says that the church is looking forward to doing the dinner again this coming spring. That would be for Palm Sunday 2027. Meantime, despite some well-documented corporate hardships, Frisch's Big Boy cutting the ribbon and reopening a northern Kentucky location in Fort Wright. Take a look.
So we know Frisch's is a smaller footprint today, but Frisch's is a destination place. So you can still come with grandma. You can still drive up from your past Frisch's. Maybe you have to drive up a little bit further, but you can come. This is a one-of-a-kind look again, it still feels like home, but it's a destination place. You get your friends, get your family together, and you schedule a time to come up, and we'll be glad to see you.
Thanks to Game Day for that footage. That is owner Cheryl Wright at the recent ribbon cutting for that newly remodeled spot on Orphanage Road near Madison Pike and 275. You guys know how I feel about a Big Boy, but let me tell you, if they've got the breakfast bar there, look out. I will be speeding in northern Kentucky this coming Saturday morning. That's fair warning. Jack's Big Bite is where we focus on one particular story or topic in our community, a community we believe in with our partners at First State Bank. Stop into one of their local branches or visit online at fsb4me.com to access all the helpful tools and services at First State Bank, built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. For today's Big Bite, presented by First State Bank, we are telling the story of one of Cincinnati's signature events, the Flying Pig Marathon. This year's race happened earlier in the year, and I was lucky enough to have PigWorks CEO Doug Olberding on the show back in April when this show was brand new. He came on to talk about, among other things, what makes this event so unique, and he gave us a really nice overview of the event from a business perspective. Let's take a look.
When Bob Coughlin was sort of dreaming this thing up, he went to a race directors conference in Portland, Oregon in like 1997 or something like that. And all the race directors were, in a twist because they couldn't figure out how to get prize money to pay the elite athletes. And Bob, just being the very practical businessman that he is, he goes, how come we're paying elite athletes to run our race when the people who are signing up are the ones that are paying our bills?
Okay.
Why don't we take that money and fold it into the experience and delight those people? And the elite athletes can go run those other races. And so that's what we've always done.
And that clearly has not had a negative impact on turnout and on the spotlight that gets shined on this race.
I would say it's had a positive impact because the money that we would have spent, back at that time, it would have been, carving out $100,000 in the budget in 1999. It's about what we would have had. But taking that $100,000 and pouring it into course experience for the runners, that's the way we look at it. Our budget for course experience, and everything that we do out there is probably what other races pay, elite athletes.
So the Bob Coughlin, whom Doug mentioned there, founded the marathon. He's also the man who started Paycor and is currently, at last word, looking to build a $75 million ecotourism resort. The way the story goes, Bob Coughlin took it as a personal challenge to start a marathon here in Cincinnati after someone said, you can't do that here. Other cities have had big annual races for decades. The Pig didn't get started until 1999. The 2026 Flying Pig Marathon was the largest and fastest field ever, or yet, with more than 45,000 participants over the 3-day event weekend. But it is more than just one race weekend here in the city. The Flying Pig, through its nonprofit called PigWorks, has race-related programming going on nearly every other month of the year as well. It generated nearly $46 million in total economic impact for the Cincinnati region in the latest reporting, and that is more than double the impact of the marathon just going back to 2023. That doubling comes from a study that was conducted by the Cincinnati Regional Chamber and Burke Incorporated, finding that last year's Pig supported over 650 local jobs and generated more than $15 million in earning. Participants in the race spent over $24 million across the region that weekend. And the impact goes beyond supporting jobs and tourism in this region. It's also just about support in general. You heard Doug Olberding say they don't have cash prizes for the winner. That money goes into the event itself, which also includes scholarships. Take a look.
We're so grateful for the scholarship and the opportunities it's provided and alleviating some financial burden.
Thank you to Flying Pig. This scholarship did so much for me. I'm able to run track. I'm able to go to a college outside of my hometown, which is Cincinnati.
I've been able to focus my time on adjusting to college life and putting my best efforts into my schoolwork, and I haven't had to worry about working a part-time job to pay for school, which has been so helpful.
This opportunity has been positive impact on my education, and it has been a like great support on my education path.
I'm really grateful for the Flying Pig Scholarship and the opportunity it's given me to study here, meet people from all across the country and even across the globe, and fully engage in everything the university has to offer. Thank you.
What began as 4 one-time $2,500 scholarships has now grown into $20,000. That is $5K per year to students, thanks to the Bob and Jean Coughlin Foundation and Skyline Chili. They are awarded to high school students who are members of the cross-country or track and field team, naturally enough. PigWorks is the 501c3 nonprofit that hosts the marathon and other events. It is currently in the midst of a capital campaign in order to get a new community headquarters in Walnut Hills, also to expand partnerships and youth programming. You can see the rendering right there. Also to grow the marathon and other race-related events. But next year's marathon is still months away, and even though the planning goes on all year, PigWorks is also busy doing other things now. With Oktoberfest less than a month away, there is the 14K brewery run and the 7K run along the riverfront, specifically passing historic brewery sites, following the routes that horse-drawn carts took to bring beer to the riverboats. In October, there is Blink Run the Night, which offers runners a one-of-a-kind nighttime run through downtown and early access to some of the eye-popping art and light displays that'll be part of this year's Blink Festival. That's not to be confused with the Queen Bee Half Marathon, also in October. That's a race to raise money for local charities that focus on women. And the planning is on for next year's Flying Pig Marathon weekend that starts on April 30th. The event is a who's who for some of the biggest corporations in the city: Kroger, MedPace, and of course Paycor, and Procter & Gamble, which race organizers have said you can't spell pig without P&G. That's a very good line. A woman who has seen that race start and finish every year and then thrive and develop into what it is today is Iris Simpson Bush. She was the face of the race for years. She knows the importance of communication, and she's my guest when we come back. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Stick around.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well, and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the Working Lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day. Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, joined now by Iris Simpson Bush, the former CEO and the current Executive Director of Community Engagement for Pigworks, which is the nonprofit that puts on the Flying Pig every year. Iris, your history with the pig has been, everybody knows it. If anybody who's been paying attention knows it. You are the Executive Director of Community Engagement now. How has that been going?
Excellent. It's actually probably the part of the job I've always enjoyed the most. I love connecting with people, engaging with the community, and that's a part of, the essence of the Flying Pig Marathon where we started. We call ourselves Pigworks now because there's so many ancillary events. Yeah. We needed an umbrella title. But the Flying Pig, in 1997, I was in broadcast. I worked at WCPO.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that.
Well, and I read a newspaper article that somebody was trying to bring a marathon. Went to my boss and asked, would we like to be involved? I thought it would be a great idea. I'd run a few marathons. I knew that it would be good for the city. And I was excited to have my hometown marathon. So my boss's pat answer was always, if you can sell it, you can do it. Called Bob Coughlin, who is the founder of the Flying Pig, offered the station's assistance. He said he thought he'd died and gone to heaven. One newspaper article, and now he's got a TV station on board. Met my husband on the board, and next year will be 30 years of,
Isn't that amazing?
That story unfolding, and it's just been wonderful to be a part of it. A privilege, actually.
Yeah, no, it's really wonderful, and you guys are right now getting ready for next year's race. I think this race it's really interesting, and I think you know this. You helped craft it this way, in that this race is a serious marathon for serious runners, but it's also, there's a ton of fun stuff that happens. We had Doug Olberting on the show earlier this year, talked about, people grilling bacon and handing it out on the line, and all sorts of really fun stuff, but it is a serious race. Was that a tough balance to strike when you were first getting this thing started?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think we knew that, in order for people to come, it has to be serious. People train for 6 months or more for a marathon. They pay money to get here. They stay in a hotel. I mean, you owe them a serious experience. And let's face it, running a marathon is a human endeavor that a lot of people don't succeed at. So from the very beginning, we thought we wanted it to be a marathon for everyone. We don't pay prize money. Some elite athletes don't come. However, I will tell you, Dave McGilvery, who's the guru of running, the race director at Boston, he's come several times. When I first met him in 2005, he said, "Oh, you're from Cincinnati. Tell me about that quirky little race." Well, I told him what we knew at that point. We only had 2-3 years of experience at that point. So he has come to all of our milestone 10, 15, 20 runs. And at our 25th, he leaned over and he nudged me and he looked at the crowd, over 40,000 people, and he said, "Okay, you're still quirky, but you're not so little anymore. And so that's how our history just kind of evolved. We knew it had to be a good race. He audited it for us, ran the course, and gave me a 2-page report. And as he handed it to me, he said, "I'll give you an A+, and you can throw it in the can if you'd like." He made a few comments about things, communication and certain things, and he said he thought it was a first-class event. So we've been very, very fortunate to get a lot of accolades about that, about the organization. We have, I think, an operations team extraordinaire. Yeah. But then we added all of the extra, the people along the course, the communities. It's a community church in Marymount who does the bacon.
That started doing the bacon, that's right.
The waterworks, on Eastern Avenue, when they come in that long stretch of Eastern, it's sunny, very little shade. At the waterworks, we have what we call, the hogwash station. Perfect. And they can get cold towels and that sort of thing. And again, the waterworks sponsors that.
And you guys get was it difficult even building up corporate sponsorship over the years as things were new? Was it tough to sort of sell it as a new thing at first?
I will give again Bob Coughlin the nod on that. Bob started Paycor, and I think we all in Cincinnati know how successful that venture has been. But when he wanted to launch this marathon, he used some of his, I'm sure, reputation and clout. P&G. It was Cincinnati Bell, of course, now Alta Fiber. Ohio National Life was one of the founding sponsors. Burke Research. So he went to corporations, put in his amount of money, and as I recall at that time, it was a $60,000 sponsorship. He put up the money, he got each of those. So we launched with about $360,000 to fund this event. Was it difficult? Again, I have to give credit to Bob in that he laid the foundation, and from there, it's been so much fun. I mean, P&G has built through the years. We do the Crest Smile Mile, the, what all do we do? The High Endurance Mile to the Finish, the Mr. Clean Your Clock Mile. I mean, all kinds of fun things. And so the brands found it easy, I think, and very beneficial to associate with the event. Given what we were provided as a foundation, I think it's been a pretty easy build. Sure, challenges along the way. Yeah. My first challenge was to raise money because that initial funding that Bob had set up, nobody was selling. Nobody was bringing in additional dollars. So that was one of my first assignments, that and building a national reputation.
How did you approach that first challenge of the selling that you're talking about there? Because, I mean, that is a challenge. For salespeople, it's an opportunity, but also the challenge of it. How did you approach getting over that?
Well, I sold for 20 years for Scripps at WCPO. I was a commissioned salesperson. In those days, we could do quite well financially. To move to the not-for-profit sector, I knew I was going to take a salary cut. I had been on the board for a few years. I knew our financial situation, and Jack, I'll just be very candid. We didn't have as much money in the bank as they said they were going to pay me. So I had a real incentive to get out there
That's called motivated
and sell.
Sales.
Yes, absolutely. Not only motivated sales, it was pretty easy from my perspective in that I loved the event. I had been able to see, even in those early years, we'd hoped to debut with 3,000 people would have been our break even. We had 6,600 people for our first run, and it grew each year thereafter. So, and you could see how many sporting events can you go to where as a spectator, you can be engaged. They line the streets. One of the reasons people from out of town rave about the pig is all of the support. From the time you cross that start line until you get to our finish line, there are spectators. We affectionately call them our street squealers. The grunts are volunteering and helping to hand out every mile. We have a fluid station. We have snacks and treats and bacon on the course. Sure. I will tell you the downside of that is they cross the finish line and they toss their cookies because of all the junk they ate out there, but they love it.
Well, it's fuel to get the job done, and certainly a lot of people like to come in to get the job done. You've got a number of events that go on all during the year. Certainly the pig itself happens in the spring, but there is programming nearly every other month of the year. And coming up soon, we mentioned it in the Big Bite. First up in October, early October, is the Blink Run. There's a run that the pig is associated with that's attached to Blink, the big public art festival that happens in October. What is that that people are doing? Running around in the dark?
Somewhat, yeah. It is an evening race. It will be an evening race. You know, it's in association with Blink. It's on a Tuesday night before Blink debuts. It's a walk run. I will emphasize that you don't have to run. It's not timed. Yeah. There will be shirts. There will be a medal. But you know, you get to see some of the installations early on. You can go at your own pace, make it a fun experience for you. Admittedly, different from anything we've done before. Perhaps I could say a little out of our comfort zone, but not so much, because it's exciting. It's fun to do something that's so ingrained. I mean, Blink has now become such an important part of our community. We are one of, I'm proud to say, one of the iconic events. We've always tried to associate and do things with the Reds, the Bengals, now Blink. Certainly the Thanksgiving Day race is now under our umbrella. It was my first race ever in the 70s, so I have done, this year will be my 40th Thanksgiving Day race. So, you know, it just, part of our goal was to admittedly ingratiate ourselves to the corporate community for their financial support, but not just that. We run an event in their backyard. We don't have a venue, a stadium, or a place to do it. So we have to be very respectful of the residents in the community. The 50-some churches that are on our course on Sunday, took a while to get them all happy with our presence. And, you know, again, we run by the Reds, the Bengals. It's important that we be an integral part, a respectful neighbor in this community. Yeah. So Blink was it seemed to us kind of an obvious and automatic association. Yeah,
so that's the Blink Run that's going to be just before Blink actually happens. And then also in October, the Queen Bee Half Marathon is back, which is the women-centric race that you're sort of being the face of as well, right? Yeah, we... Actually, it's been quite a long time for the Queen Bee. We noticed, certainly through our research, that women love the half marathon distance. 13.1 miles seems to be their sweet spot. Yep. So we noticed through the years that our half at the Flying Pig, and it will always be our signature event. The Flying Pig is who and what we are, and then we've just blossomed from that. But the Queen Bee, we were having 70% of our field at the Flying Pig half female. I got a call one day. I don't think I've ever said this publicly before, from our dear friends at the police department. The special events unit has been absolutely amazing. An extension of our staff. Yeah. They are so invested in our success and the safety and the fun of all the people who are participating. But I caught a call saying, did you know that there's an out-of-towner talking about maybe requesting a permit for a women's event? And I said, here? No, I'd not heard. Not in our backyard. And he said, that's why I'm calling, and hung up. I won't identify the person who made the call. You got an anonymous tip-off. Yes, we did. And again, the benefits of building that relationship. Sure. But I will tell you that we put the Queen Bee half together in absolutely record time. In fact, somebody said, you're going to call it the Queen Bee. That can have a negative connotation. What's the issue there? You know, a kind of a not very nice woman is sometimes called a queen bee, uppity female. You've never heard that? No, you can say anything sarcastically to sound like an insult. Jack, I had heard that, so I didn't know how to respond to that person other than to say, well, you know, pigs can have a negative connotation, and that's worked pretty well for us. So we're going to give it a try. And again, it's been phenomenally successful. We added that. We do a beer run. You know, Cincinnati in the late 1800s, early 1900s was the second largest brewing city in the country, second only to between that and the wine scene, Cincinnati in the 1800s was doing a lot.
You bet. So it seemed appropriate. And again, we try to celebrate our history, our, the legacy of Cincinnati. So the beer runs have been very, very fun. We do one with Oktoberfest in conjunction with Oktoberfest. That's the 14K. You'll recognize that association.
Certainly.
We don't call it by its full name anymore, but it's the 14K. And we have a 7K, of course. Then we are now associated with the Thanksgiving Day race. I told you there's a personal affinity there. Even some of your crew have run that with me.
Okay,
yes,
right
yes,
on.
through the years.
Well, there's a ton going on, and I know that you guys have events all throughout the year in addition to the race. I'm sorry, we've got to take a break, though. We got to
it's
take
okay. I can take a breath.
But the good news is we'll be back with more Iris Simpson Bush. Right after this, you're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
Okay, who are you? Well, you have a First State Bank checking account, so you'll be getting cash back whenever you use it. Oh.
Open a checking account at First State Bank for cash back. First State Bank, built on belief.
How did you get in here?
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for The Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, joined by Iris Simpson-Bush, who is the Executive Director of Community Engagement for PigWorks. Iris, I really appreciate you coming on the show and giving your perspective on the history of this big event, the Flying Pig Marathon. And I want to talk a little bit about your sort of coming up into this role that you've got now. You're the Executive Director of Community Engagement now, but you were the CEO of the Flying Pig Marathon for a number of years. And before that, you mentioned you were in sales for ads at both WCPO for about 20 years and at Channel 5 for a few years also. How did you come up into that role? What did you go to school for?
Marketing.
Marketing, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Which role? The role in broadcast or the
getting
role?
Getting into ad sales specifically. What attracted you into doing that?
It was on a lark, to be again, I might just as well be candid. I attended UC. I was on the pay-as-you-go program. I went 2 years full-time and was just so tired of being poor that I moved to Clifton, got a job at Ernst & Young, EY, as their bookkeeper, and started taking classes at night. So it took me well into my 20s to get a degree in marketing. That seemed the right fit. I had thought about education and some other things, but marketing seemed the right fit. And then I'm in my late 20s before I get the degree, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. And people kept saying to me, you should be in sales. Again, I think it's in part because of my talkativeness, but I'd like to think also communication and connecting with people. So I thought, maybe I will try sales for a few years until I figure out what I really want to do. Interviewed at Channel 9, my first interview, they kind of laughed at me, to be honest, and sent me on my way. Interviewed at Taft, decided not to work there. That's another whole story, but went to radio, and I got a job at WSAI Radio, which I'd grown up with. It was a powerhouse, but had just changed its format. So all of the seasoned veterans who knew what that meant were leaving. I was this rookie who was so excited to get a job in radio that I think enthusiasm and ignorance can be bliss.
What a great driver those two things can be in terms of a career.
Oh, and it was just a wonderful opportunity. The general manager spent a lot of time training me and giving me a solid foundation. He thought it was funny and surprising that someone who had no sales or media experience would have the nerve to come in and ask him for a job. So unlike the people at WCPO, he thought, well, then she'll have the nerve to go out and ask someone for money.
Right. Having the nerve for the ask, being willing to make the ask is such a big deal. What did you learn in your time between doing ad sales, and you were the general sales manager at WCPO, and then your marketing work at Channel 5? What did all that do to prepare you for when you were the CEO for the Flying Pig Marathon?
I think much of the benefit that I got from seeing that promotions really work. I mean, you know, in those days there were 3 networks, so you'd put together a buy that, you know, had the reach and the CPM that the buyers were looking for. But I always found that you had to have the right hook. The commercial message had to be effective. And, oh my goodness, in radio we did, you know, all kinds of promotions, and that's what got me the job offer in TV, successful promotions. That radio station didn't have a lot of listeners, so you had to do out of the ordinary things. When you're in TV, you don't have that kind of latitude to do the crazy, wild promotions that people come out of curiosity. But I think that foundation of the message, we did things in TV. I did a health fair. My first time ever. I knew nothing about a health fair. How that prepared me so well for our expo at the Flying Pig. I do think my path through broadcast, as well as this journey with the Flying Pig, it was very fortuitous. Some of the things you learn, you don't know how you're ever going to apply it or use it, but it's there if you need it. And when I made the transition, I knew this marathon would be good for the city. I knew our TV station should support it from a community outreach perspective. And then when I got to be a part of it and saw all the fun things we could do, as I was citing earlier, you know, for the brands at P&G, so many of the tie-ins we could make with sponsors to And then they would enhance their commercial message with their association with the pig, and they look like a great community partner. They could often, no matter their product or the seriousness of their service, they could add a light note with the flying pig. So I just think that the years in broadcast, learning how to tell the story, and you know, how to make the sponsor's message come through. It's not just about the, you know, exactly, not just about the amount they're spending and where you're placing them. It's how you're placing them and how you're solidifying the association.
Yeah, finding creative ways to get these brands and sponsors involved in an event like that, I think is a really interesting challenge, and it's a really fun opportunity, because if you can strike the right chord with somebody and all of a sudden you've got a company or a brand that wasn't expecting to have such success with a given thing on this big event that has only grown, that attracts thousands of people, that gets sort of a high roll lottery ticket.
And up close and personal, they can be at the finish line and put the medal on the finishers. They can do so many things on the course, you know, to help support. Anytime you can be a small part of helping someone to achieve a goal, you know, that endears you to them. So I think a lot of our sponsors, if not all of them, and many have been with us since the beginning, and those who've come on board through the years are still with us. We rarely lose a sponsor, and if we do, it's for a very good reason. One of those reasons, as we all know, was the pandemic.
Oh, I was going to ask you about this. What a great transition. Iris, you're such a pro.
I'm trying to help, Jack.
This is great.
I hope.
Okay, so talk about the challenge of that, because that was a moment where all of a sudden everything essentially closed for a while. You guys are having people run around outside, but still, in terms of it being an organization, essentially a business that's trying to run and have people organize things, now people can't meet, you can't plan, and this all must have gone down, what, just a couple of months before the race is supposed to start?
You know, the timing was awful for everyone, but in our case, you know, the country, everything started closing down end of February, early March. By then, we have purchased all of our medals, all of our shirts, you know, all of our supplies. It was, and that money had been spent. Now, as a not-for-profit, and we were very fortunate growing all through those years, so we were trying to be fiscally responsible, put money aside for a rainy day. I think I used the phrase to you before, but nobody was ready for that many rainy days, especially a not-for-profit of our size. So it was a very frightening time. I will tell you, one of my sources of pride is that we navigated COVID and did not lay off a person. We did not furlough any of our staff. What we had to do was unplan a race. We were able to convince our participants to trust us so that less than 2% asked for a refund.
Wow.
They'd all paid. They were all, thousands were registered. At the time COVID struck, we were well 30,000 plus. They usually register a little later for the smaller events. We've got all the supplies, we're invested, but they register often a little later for the 5K, the kids run, and that sort of thing. So my point is, over 30,000 people had given us their money, and the vast majority of them allowed us to keep it and defer them to the next year.
That's an incredible achievement.
We thought so. We felt so very grateful for the loyalty of our participants. But then, you know, so we were going to unplan this race, plan for the fall with no guarantee we could even do it in the fall. And we came up with the idea. I will also tell you, in our industry, in the running industry, I've been absolutely the beneficiary of best practices. People all over the country. When I first started, it was male dominated. There are a lot of female race directors now. I think women have proven that they can bring something to the table of value. But everybody got together. We were talking about things to do. And we said here we were going to try a virtual approach.
Right.
Several others did across the country. And again, that was kind of a shared, let's give it a try. That worked very well for us. You know, you could go out, you needed the therapeutic benefits of running. You needed the physical benefits of running. That was something people could still do. We did it separate. We distributed their packets and everything as a drive-through. We did drive-bys. It was, we would do training programs virtually. You know, we would also try to have little rallies virtually. You know, we'd have porch talks on Zoom, sharing information. So it was kind of an innovative and a different approach. It helped us to survive. And I think the biggest benefit, hopefully those who, as I said, benefited therapeutically and physically, it also built and deepened their trust and their belief in us that we were trying to be fair with their dollars, give them the experience they had paid for, but do it in a kind of a different way. And when we came back from COVID, and I will tell you, it pretty much took it took all of our financial
you used all that money that you had socked away just to stay afloat.
Absolutely. You know, we applied for the PPP. Our staff was able to get lesser, but still an income. And a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of uncertainty, a little bit of excitement about, wow, how do we, you know, you have to step up to the challenge. How do we navigate and survive this?
In terms of money and being good stewards of money, you guys are in the middle of a campaign right now. I want to get into this before we got to go. Looking to move into a new building in East Walnut Hills. The capital campaign has been going on for a while. You're working on that. How has it been? You're sort of squeezing the last few drops out of that.
Yeah, we are. It was a $12 million goal. I want to emphasize not all of that for a building. The bricks and mortar are important. It's going to be a community connector. It's going to be a wonderful venue, but a large portion of those dollars are for the programming. The youth program, people with disabilities, we have pig abilities. So it is our first capital campaign. Our goal was 12 million. We're a little over 10. So
that's great.
Yes, it will be a stretch to get there, but I have every confidence we will, and a heartfelt belief that this is a very good thing, not only for PigWorks, but for our community. All will be able to give back and take the programs to the next level. Doug's doing a fine job of that, and I'm proud to get to work on the capital campaign with him.
Well, and you're out there in the community doing your engagement, which is was your strong suit, Iris, I would say, and I'm really glad to have had you on the show. The Flying Pig Marathon, put on by PigWorks. Again, you got the Blink Run coming up in October, and then right after that, it's the Queen Bee Half Marathon. More coming up, ways to give, everything on that. Pigworks.org, is that the site?
At flyingpigmarathon.com.
Flying Pig Marathon. Check that out.
That'll take you to all the information.
That's the best way to go through on it. Iris, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Jack, so fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Iris Simpson-Bush with the Flying Pig and PigWorks. We got to take a break. More Working Lunch coming back.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well, and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the west side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. You know, there is a snack going on around the Crown offices here that is in constant demand. Sorry about that, haters. We are going to be talking today about Chomps, which is a delicious meat snack. Yes, this is a prop comedy show now. I am basically Carrot Top. Yes, talking about Chomps. It is America's fastest growing meat snack brand, and they're now expanding access. And who among us isn't looking for expanded meat snack access, huh? In a recent press release, Chomps says that its national retail footprint has now grown to more than 65,000 locations, including, you can see it there, Starbucks, which, all right, I guess saying caramel macchiato and a Chomp isn't that hard to say. I hear it also pairs nicely with those energy drinks they've got there with the dragon fruit. Excuse me just a moment. Chomps has grown 81% in multi-outlet spaces over the last year. It's doubled its points of distribution, but this big Chomps announcement isn't just about expanded access. Just know that Chomps has also launched its first ever chicken sticks product line, so we are looking at continued product innovation. Made with real ingredients, thank you, Rodney, zero sugar, and no artificial preservatives. Chomps products deliver 10 to 12 grams of protein per serving, depending on variety. Chomps is also the only B Corporation certified meat snack brand, reinforcing its commitment to using business as a force for good. Thanks, Chomps. Just keeping you in the know there. We enjoy Chomps around the office, and the idea that they're available in more places, the idea that they're available at Starbucks, is a really fun sentence to say in the year of our Lord 2026. I would like to thank Iris Simpson-Bush, the Executive Director of Community Engagement for Pigworks, for coming on the show, telling us about the history of that amazing event, the Flying Pig Marathon, which happens every year in the spring. Certainly all the events that they run all throughout the year, different races, different ways to connect with the racing community, and certainly the capital campaign that is going on right now to get them in that new building in East Walnut Hills and expand their programming. Don't forget, there's the Blink Run, where you get an inside preview of Blink before the event kicks in. That's in October. Queen Bee Half Marathon in October as well. Hey, it's Wednesday. That means we've got some new programs on the old Crown Network. Nat Jones Show. The Crown goes to Clown Town. Oh, Softmax Plus. Softmax Plus is one of the local influencers here that makes videos on TikTok. He's one of my favorite influencers here in town. I think he's a fascinating cat. And having him on the Nat Jones Show for that interview, I am particularly intrigued by. Of course, Paul Fritchner keeping people up and informed on the college sports scene with the Rebound Rundown. Somehow he produces a show even though basketball's not going. There's always something to talk about. And Paul basically got his law degree in his coverage of various eligibility cases that were being decided by the courts. There's been a few new things developed on that recently. Paul will keep you in the know on that as well. Hey, thanks for watching. This is The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are back at it tomorrow. Tell a friend about the show, cincycrown.com. Thanks for watching. Eat a chomp.